Harris County Sheriff's Office says they arrested several people at an after-hours bar in Northwest Harris County.
America, we need to talk about what happened in Harris County, Texas this week. Deputies raided what they're calling an after-hours bar. But here's the kicker. This place was never supposed to be open in the first place. We're talking about people who thought they could just set up shop, ignore all the rules, and nobody would notice. But this isn't an isolated incident. This is part of a pattern that shows you exactly what happens when people think they're smarter than the system.
There is a massive deputy presence here from the Harris County Sheriff's Office. There's a bus on site here where we've seen several people zip-tied.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story perfectly illustrates the mentality of people who think rules don't apply to them and what happens when reality comes a-knocking. So picture this. There's this place called Tru Fuego Lounge on Veterans Memorial Drive in Northwest Harris County. During the day, completely closed. Looks like nothing is happening. But when the sun goes down, this place comes to life.
This is happening at an after-hours bar. This is a live look from where that raid took place.
According to their own Facebook page, they're operating from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's 6 hours every night of what law enforcement is calling a hub for criminal activity. Think about the arrogance here. They were advertising their illegal operations on social media. But here's what really gets me about this whole situation. These people weren't just bending the rules. They were completely ignoring them. The Harris County Fire Marshal's office confirmed that this business was never approved to open its doors. Never, ever, not once. Think about this for a second. Every legitimate business has to go through permits, inspections, compliant checks. It's a pain in the butt, but there's a reason for this. It's called public safety. These people looked at all of that and said, nah, we're good. When law enforcement moved on this place, the scenes were absolutely wild. Videos from early morning hours show dozens of people with their hands against walls, loading up into buses in zip ties.
Take a look at your screen. This is the scene right now. It is clear, but you can see what was left behind from the raid.
The aftermath tells you the entire story. Front windows broken, doors smashed in, glass everywhere. This wasn't a routine inspection. This was law enforcement having to force their way into an illegal operation that thought it was untouchable. But here's what shows you their mentality. They set up in what looks like a shopping center, probably thinking the daytime business would provide a particular cover for this operation. During the day, everything looked normal. At night, it was party time, and they thought they were smart.
I would say there have been at least maybe 3 dozen people that have been zip-tied, either sitting in the parking lot right now or have been taken on to this bus.
The sheriff's office isn't calling this an after-hours bar. They're calling it a hub for criminal activity. That tells you everything you need to know about what was really happening inside. This wasn't just people having a few drinks after hours. Now, here's where this story gets really interesting. This wasn't the first time that we've seen this exact same scenario play out in Houston. 3 months ago, we had almost identical raids happening across the city.
New overnight, yet another after-hours club raid in Houston. Just after 3 this morning, HPD shut down La Sierra on South Post Oak.
La Sierra, the same story here, operating illegally after hours, arrested for drug possession, selling alcohol without permits, outstanding warrants. It's like these people all read from the same playbook. But the most revealing raid happened in a place called Underground Storage in East Little York. When you hear what the assistant chief found here, you'll understand why law enforcement is taking this so seriously.
This is cocaine, okay? And this is widely found in the clubs within Houston where dealers come in and they sell it to the public.
Cocaine dealing right out in the open. But here's what really shows you the danger these places represent.
There was an HPD sergeant who was involved in an HPD crash, with a DWI individual. He left this establishment about 5:30 in the morning and crashed into an on-duty Houston Police Department sergeant.
So we have illegal clubs operating without permits, serving alcohol after legal hours, dealing drugs, and sending drunk drivers out onto our streets where they're crashing into police officers. This is the real-world consequences of the nobody will notice mentality. But it gets worse. When investigators got inside underground storage, they found what Captain Watson called a death trap.
The inside of this building, it is a death trap. It is not does not have a certificate of occupancy, which means it has not been inspected for fire safety.
No certificate of occupancy, no fire escape doors, substandard electrical work, nothing up to code, and it was packed full of people when law enforcement arrived.
There is no fire escape door on this building, and it was packed full of people when we went in. If a fire happened in there, this would make the international news because nobody would be able to get out of it.
The captain made this comparison to the Rhode Island nightclub fire where hundreds of people died. He said if a fire would have happened at the underground storage, it would have made international news because nobody would have been able to escape. Think about this. People were paying money to party in a building that was literally a death trap, run by people who cared so little about safety, they didn't even bother with basic fire codes or emergency exits. What I want you to understand is the mentality here. These people thought that they were absolutely smart, genius, Einstein level. They probably figured, hey, we're only open at night. We're in industrial areas. Nobody's going to notice. They were advertising on Facebook. They had posted hours. They were operating like a legitimate business with completely ignoring every single legal requirement. No construction permits, no compliance certifications, no approval from the county. They just decided that they were going to run nightclubs and hope nobody cared.
I'm going to say one thing to the club owners across the city. The next knock you get on the door, it will not be a customer. It will be a Houston police officer.
But here's what really shows you their true arrogance. When ABC 13 tried to get a comment from the shopping center manager where Tru Fuego was operating, they simply just hung up the phone. That's not a response of people who had no idea what was happening on their property. The good news is that law enforcement isn't playing any games anymore. These raids involved multiple agencies working together. We're talking about Houston Police, Harris County Sheriff's Office, Houston Fire Department, Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission, and other city departments.
We seized cases upon cases of alcoholic beverage that is not permitted, taxed, or allowed to be sold for consumption on premises. We found, Chief showed you a small portion of the narcotics that we found, the cocaine. Found lots of other cocaine. Locations like this are, sometimes they're dealing from behind the counter, sometimes it's customers coming in to sell to the patrons.
Cases upon cases of illegal alcohol, cocaine, and other narcotics, multiple arrests for selling alcohol after hours, drug possession and outstanding warrants, DWI investigations for people leaving the establishments. The pattern is clear across these raids. These aren't just people having a few drinks after hours. These are criminal enterprises operating under the cover of nightlife, putting everybody at risk. Now, a few days after the Tru Fuego raid, we've got people coming up to pick their cars in front of the facility that's been boarded up. There's a violation notice from the county on the door saying the party is no mas. This is a pattern that we see over and over again. People think that they can operate in the shadows. They think if they keep a low profile during the day, they can do whatever they want at night. They forget that this is 2025. Everything is connected. Social media posts, financial transactions, neighborhood complaints, police reports. It all leaves a trail, and you can't run illegal operations and expect nobody to notice forever. The white charter buses parked outside these clubs during these raids are a symbol of something much, much bigger. The return of serious law enforcement. No more looking the other way. No more treating illegal operations like minor infractions. These cases show you everything about the mentality of people who think that rules don't apply to them. They see legitimate businesses jumping through hoops to get permits and approvals and think, why should I even bother with all that? Well, this is why. Because when you ignore the system completely, when you operate outside the law, eventually the law comes a-knocking. America, these after-hour club raids show you exactly what happens when people think that they're smarter than the system. From Tru Fuego to underground storage to La Sierra, the pattern is identical. Ignore all regulations, operate illegally, put people in danger, and hope that nobody notices. The scenes we're seeing at these raids might look dramatic because they are, but they're also necessary. Every person being arrested had the opportunity to operate legally. They chose to break rules instead. People and protesters and advocates can complain all they want, but the community spoke loud and clear through their complaints to law enforcement. People are tired of illegal operations in their neighborhood. They're tired of drunk drivers leaving these clubs and crashing into police officers. They're tired of drug dealing and violence. This is just the beginning. Law enforcement has made it clear that the days of operating illegal nightclubs are over. No mas. The next knock at the door won't be a customer. It'll be a police officer with the warrant. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe. And as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.